Today I'm going to show you how to make a personalized wood round Lazy Susan. This was such a fun project. This is one of my first wood projects that I did fully and completely with the Crystalac products. I cannot recommend enough that you use their gel stains and their top coats. You guys, they're so easy to work with. They're safe to do inside. They're just the best. And they're water-based, so they clean up so easily. To do this project, you need a wood round. I got mine at Lowe's. It is a 1/2 inch, but you can look at your local Home Depot or Menards or Ace or wherever you have to see if they have it. It is a 12-inch wood round. I used the gel stain from the Crystalac company. I used Universal White and I used Extreme Protection. I got the Lazy Susan hardware from Menards, but I will link down below a couple places you can get it online, but definitely shop around to see where you can get the best price. If this is your first time here, my name is Allison, and here on this channel, every single week I post tutorials to help you learn a new craft and empower you to try new things. Let's get started.
The first step in the process is to sand your surface. I'm using 220 grit sandpaper. You want to give it a good sand so the surface is completely smooth. You can also use an electric sander. Then you just need to wipe it clean. I used a damp paper towel just to make sure I had no leftover dust. You want to make sure that is all gone before you move on to staining. I started this project using the It's Not shellac. I did 2 coats just to sort of seal the wood before I did my gel stain. This is 100% optional and you do not need to do it. I just wanted to share that I did it. But then once that was dry, I moved on to brushing on my gel stains. I'm using the pre-mixed gel stain from the Crystalac company in the Java color, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Make sure you give it a good stir before you apply it. I liked using a brush to do it, but you could use a foam brush as well. You want to make sure that you do long strokes from one side to the other. Otherwise, you can kind of see your brush marks, but if you do one long stroke from one side to the other, it's going to give you a great finish. The gel stain needs to dry for about 3 to 4 hours before you do a second coat. You can decide if you like the color as is or you want to do a second coat. I also did around the edges just to make sure that they were the same color because they would be visible where this was displayed. So after a few hours, I wanted it a little bit darker, so I went over and did a second coat. And then I let this dry completely. Next, I moved on to adding some painter's tape. So you want to use good quality painter's tape. And I just sort of eyeballed it and where it was going, but you can, be more precise if you want. I added 2 pieces just a couple inches apart on the bottom sort of third. Then I did a coat of Extreme Protection. I did this so I could make sure I had a super nice crisp line after I painted it. I recommend doing this. Let your Extreme Protection dry for 4 hours. Then I moved on to using Universal White. I just brushed it on nice and even in a thin coat. I ended up doing 2 coats just to get the coverage that I liked. You might be okay with 1 if you wanted sort of a more, rustic look, or you could do 2. But I did 2 coats a couple hours apart. And then when I removed the tape, you can see that I had a super nice crisp line. It was perfect. I did 1 coat of Extreme Protection over the top of this just to seal up that Universal White before I added my decal and to help even it out. I let it dry a couple hours. Then it was time to add the vinyl. I used my Silhouette to cut this out. You can use your Cricut, or you could even do a stencil and paint it on. It's totally up to you. I recommend a good quality transfer tape. I will link my favorite down in the description below. And I just measured with a ruler on this Lazy Susan just to figure out how big I wanted this decal. I don't have an exact measurement, but I just measured and thought about what I thought would look good. The vinyl is permanent, but since this is like going to be out on display, I decided to do 3 coats of extreme protection over the top of the whole surface just to give that vinyl a little bit of extra protection, just to make sure it wouldn't peel. So I did 3 coats, waiting a couple hours in between each coat. And then I needed to add the hardware. I got the hardware from Menards. I will link some down below. It's a 6-inch Lazy Susan thing. I don't even know what the right term is, but I tried my best to measure the center of this circle, and you can see I did not stain the back. You can if you want. So I made that X to mark the middle, and I'm using a 1/2-inch screw that I found at my house. These did not come with screws, so you'll need screws, and I just drilled each one of them in, and you can see it spins around. But since this is going to be on my countertop, I added little rubber feet to the bottom to avoid any potential scratching. We don't want that. So I just added 4 of these around, and then it'll help it stay in place as well as protect your countertop. If you want more tutorials on what you can do with wood rounds or stuff with the Crystalac products, make sure you subscribe down below, and I will link up this next video for you with another example.